Hi, I'm Monica Shah of Revenue Breakthrough, and this is the More Money series. Now, today I am talking about time management, that thing that we all strive to do better at and seems to always sort of be beyond us in terms of getting everything that we want done. Today I'm going to show you my 3-step system, my U.S.E method for really understanding and managing your time. And frankly, guys, if you don't get these 3 steps, it doesn't matter how much money and marketing and sales strategy you're learning. If you don't know how to use your time wisely, it's all going to go down the drain. So this stuff is important. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So time management. First of all, I want you to know I'm going to be doing a series of videos on different aspects of time management because I think it's something that is coming up more and more as those of you are asking me questions and you're saying, Monica, I just can't seem to get it all done, or I don't know what to do first, or everything, time sort of bypasses me and then I don't know where it went. I want to really start to address that. I'm going to do that in the next couple videos. So first we're going to start with the concept of what time management is. First of all, it is not about controlling time. It is not about getting everything done, because you cannot control time and you're never going to get everything done. That is the first thing to just really breathe in and accept. You, me, everyone in the world, none of us are going to be able to get everything done and check everything off of our to-do list. It's just not going to happen. I'll tell you why. Because as you cross task 1, task 2, task 3 off of your checklist, you're going to have more and more and more tasks that come up. And that's a good thing. That actually means you're growing and evolving. So it's not really about getting to the end of something. It's always about prioritizing. Deciding what is the most important thing, the thing that is related most to the goals that you want to hit, and doing that first. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about that priority piece and not avoiding the things that cause fear in future videos. But first I want to start with some basics that are really important foundation steps to understanding time. And so let's start with my U.S.E method, using time wisely. So the U stands for understanding time. And I was reminded of this because one of my clients, Helen Panos, so shout out to Miss Helen, she runs a tutoring service for kids. And I was reading one of her free gifts and she was talking about how to help children do better with their homework. And one of the things that she said is a lot of times kids don't really understand what 30 minutes means or what 60 minutes means. And therefore they either underestimate or overestimate what they can get done in 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And one of the things that she recommends is start timing things with your kids. So you would time how long it takes to eat breakfast, time how long it takes to get dressed in the morning. So they start to understand what could be done in a half an hour and what that actually feels like from a body perspective. And I was laughing because I teach the very same thing to my entrepreneurs, because most of us as adults don't even know the concept of what time is. We are chronically underestimating how long tasks take us, and because of that we are chronically putting on our to-do lists more tasks than we could ever get done in the time that we have allotted to us. And that's just par for the course. So what I want you to do first, is understand time for yourself. And the way to do that, just as Helen was recommending that a child looks at time for every activity they're doing so they can truly understand what 30 minutes is, what 60 minutes is, I want you to do the same. It's something that I call clock watching. And clock watching means that every time you start anything in your business, when you're working from the hours of 9 to 6 or 9 to 3, I want you to watch the clock. And I want you to see how long everything's taking you. If in the beginning you need to be able to write things down, then write them down. So for example, you might say like 9 to 9:30, I thought it was going to take a half an hour to do email, but I watched the clock and it took an hour. And then I thought it was going to take an hour to write a free gift, and I watched the clock and it took 2.5 hours. So I want you to do this clock watching thing for everything, constantly watching the clock. And I definitely want you to do it for at least 2 weeks so that you can really start to understand time. But to be honest with you, I've never stopped clock watching. I'm always looking at the clock. And I'm always estimating, okay, when I start this task, I think it's going to take me 30 minutes. And then I always look at the clock as I'm doing it. And I notice, okay, did it take me 30 minutes? Did it take me 20 minutes? Did it take me an hour? So that I can really start to understand how long things are actually taking me. Okay, so let's move on to the second piece, which is the S. S means structure your time. So what I mean by that is that for most of us, we kind of go into our days and maybe we have a good intention in the morning, like you kind of start your day thinking this is what I'm going to do from 9 to 10, or this is what I'm going to do from 10 to 11. But then the day kind of starts to snowball and get away from you. And before you know it, you're kind of just like drifting. You're drifting from task to task. And one of the things I really advocate you working on is to stop drifting. Just stop drifting from task to task and really start to be intentional with what you're working on next. Now, a lot of times people say to me, but Monica, like I do set intention. Like I set intention for my whole day or at least half of my day, but then everything kind of goes haywire and I end up having to move tasks or do things in a different order. And I totally get that. That is going to happen. It's okay. Remember what I said at the beginning. This isn't about control. This isn't about managing or overcoming or getting to the end of everything. It's about intentionality and awareness. So let's say you have a phone call and it's a sales conversation and it's going really well and it ends up taking an hour and a half instead of 30 minutes. And that cuts into everything else you have for the rest of the day. What I'm saying here when I say structure is just take a breath before you sort of drift into the next task and decide intentionally what you are going to do next and how you're going to schedule the rest of your day. And I also want you to think about that in terms of rest and recovery, because let's say you do have an hour and a half sales conversation that was meant to be a half an hour. Suddenly you're a bit more drained than you had originally intended you would be. So you may need to intentionally put in a half an hour where you zone out or watch a little TV or eat some food or do some exercise or something that is going to help you recover before you move on to the next task. So when I say structure your time, I don't just mean like structure it in the morning or structure it the day before and then try to stick with it and then beat yourself up when you don't do it. That's like traditional how we all sort of perceive time management. What I mean is have it be a dynamic process of structuring and restructuring. And really what I like to call it is more intentional, like be intentional with what is next for you. And you can use your intuition in that intentionality. So if you decided like in the morning you were going to work on your newsletter, but then your creativity like starts going and you decide you're going to write 3 free reports that day instead, that's okay, right? It's just be intentional about switching gears. The other thing that will help with structuring your time and being intentional, and I mean dynamic structuring, is if you're being intentional, you can also be more honest with yourself. So in that same example, let's say you decide to write free gifts instead of writing your newsletter, but you pause and you're like, okay, is this because I'm having a creative burst of energy and that's exciting and I'm going to go with it? Or is this because I'm avoiding my newsletter and I'm in fear and I'm procrastinating around that? And if that's the case, then do I need to just push through the resistance instead of doing something that would be easier for me? Or is this about a creative burst that's really awesome and I'm going to work on something else and then come back to the newsletter? So that intentional piece also allows you to stop in the moment and ask yourself, what is this really about? Like if I'm going to change the structure of my day, what I had originally planned, that's totally fine. Is this because I want to and it feels good and it's in the right direction? Or is it because I'm fearful and avoiding and procrastinating? And you'll get better at all of this over time, and that leads to the third step here, which is E. E stands for execute and assess. So the biggest myth about time management that everybody seems to have is you think that you're going to get this in a week or 2 weeks or even a day. And I have found that time management is a skill set, just like every other skill set, and it takes months, if not years, to get better at this. You are definitely going to see improvement, just like anything that you put your attention towards. But I want you to get that it's little by little by little. And that's why it's so important to execute and then assess. So the execute means, okay, great. So you start to understand time. You start the clock watching. You start to set a structure. You start being more intentional about every day, about the hours and the minutes that you're spending. So you execute, right? You're doing it. The key is at the end of each day, you want to assess, what did I do today? Did I stay on structure? Did I really watch the clock? Did I do the things that are going to really help me progress towards my goals? Or did I fall prey to fear and avoidance and procrastination on certain activities? In fact, a great question I ask myself at the end of every day is, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding? Because I'm always avoiding something, because that lizard brain of mine and the lizard brain of yours likes to keep us comfortable and safe and secure. And that comfortable, safe, and secure spot is that place where we're not doing anything that's scary. We're not doing anything that's unfamiliar to us. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What am I procrastinating on? Assess, problem solve, decide what you're redoing tomorrow, and do it again the next day. And I'm telling you, over time of constant execution and assessment, this will get easier. However, give yourself at least a couple weeks of execution and assessment using the use method to get better at this over time. Now, there's so much more to time management. I'm going to keep doing different parts of the series that are going to show you how to stay focused, the tools I use. But this is the most important aspect, is really starting to understand time, how to structure time, and how to execute and assess around your time. These are the foundational blocks that'll help you to be more successful. And my wish for you, as always, is use your time wisely, make a ton of money, and go out there and make this world a better place. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up at the bottom of the video. And while you're down there, please subscribe to the video, and when you subscribe, turn the notifications on so that every time I put a video out, you'll be notified about the next one. And feel free to leave me a comment or a question. I absolutely love to hear from you. And don't forget to check out the video description, because there is a link to a free gift in here that will take this time management piece even further.